Okay, this is an update on the French door project. And what I have done here is added sheathing, exterior sheathing on the two sides of the door frame. And in addition to that, I've added some nails in places where previously I only had screwed together just to make it stronger. And I'll show you a little bit here on the outside where I have placed this in. So I've used 6-penny nails. I reused all of the old 6-penny nails when I could. 6-penny nail is supposed to be good for plywood sheathing. It's on the borderline between half-inch plywood. So this is half-inch plywood, so it should be okay. Here's an example of a nail that I pulled out that I didn't reuse. The head was just gone, but most of all the other ones, if it wasn't broken off, I just reused it. And then I used some of these nails that I had inherited, which are 6-penny nails, 2.5 inches, spaced every 6 inches. Okay, I still have, of course, other work to do here to repair the rot situation. This is just to get the framing, sheathing around the door frame. I did add in a nailer in this case, simply because I wanted to be able to nail the edge of that plywood sheet, and you can see in that case the framing didn't provide a nailing surface, and rather than trim off a 1/2 inch of the plywood above in this particular case, because of that would be rather difficult to do up there, I had done that on the side. I added a nailer in here. Okay, it's not precise to the width. Probably, now that I think about it, if I was going to add a nailer, I might have made it precise so it would have added to the overall strength here. Right now, it doesn't add to that strength. So. And I added the nailer on the other side just for the same purpose. It's just a scrap block. Okay, I'm getting ready now to add the sheathing. I only need a 2-inch strip at the top because I reduced this opening by 2 inches to get a rough opening of 80 inches high. Now, one thing I should say here is, after taking everything apart, I did find that the original rough opening was 82 inches from the subfloor. And I'm giving that a little bit of reflection. I realize that is the standard rough opening for a door frame. And probably when they built this wall, they used the same header on the door frames as the windows. And the window rough openings are probably 82 inches. So I could have probably ordered a standard 82-inch high door. I wouldn't have had to reduce this. But at the time I was making this measurement, of course, the window was entirely in place, and it's extremely difficult to make an accurate measurement to the subfloor. So anyway, rather than take a chance that this header was not going to be at 82 inches, or that it would be a little bit less than that, which would be a problem, I went ahead and I added this because I was able to order a door at 80 inches. Anyway, that's just a little detail, and if I did this again, I might have taken that into consideration and really measured this accurately before ordering the door, and then I could have actually got a simpler framing here. Okay, now I have, but as it is, I have cut a piece of plywood, 48 inches. Now, for these pieces, I didn't have any existing scrap plywood that was that high, so I bought a new sheet. In some cases here, I actually have I had a scrap piece that was 48 inches wide, so I'm going to nail that in place there. Now, one thing that I did notice there is, because of the way this is put together, I really don't have a nailing surface in the first 1/2 inch, because I put in scrap plywood on edge, which is not really good to nail into. So I'm just going to have to not be able to nail into that last half inch. I'll nail a little bit further down. I like to nail closer to the edge, but that's just the way it is. I did take a little bit of packing material just to fill in that space. 'Cause I don't like gaps. And I should be able to caulk that from the inside. But I just had some of this scrap packing material. I just pushed it in there. It's probably not going to make any difference one way or the other. Anyway, I'm going to nail this strip on, and I'll just hit pause while I do that. Okay, I just nailed that strip in, and now I have sheathed around what was the double window opening, which still puts me on step one for installation of the window because it presupposes the rough opening. I will say that when I did try measuring my diagonals, I was not within 1/8 of an inch. It was more than double that on the diagonal measurement. And I think it's going to be fine, of course, because it's going to get shimmed. And even though they say it must be, probably it's not. 1/8 of an inch, these are not completely perpendicular just because that's the way the wood is. And I would get a different measurement if I did this on the outside, which I haven't done. I did that on the inside. Now I can do it on the outside. I should say that when I add the sheathing, I want the opening to still be defined by the 2x4 frame, because that's what I put in precisely. This cut on the sheathing is not precise. So I bring it right up to the edge, but not to be proud. And if it does stick out a little bit, I would just shave that off with a plane, just so that the opening is determined by the framing, not by the sheathing. I don't want the sheathing to stick out into the opening. Okay, well anyway, now the next step is I need to put house wrap on here, but in order to do that, I will need to deal with some of these other issues of rot. I could do this in a couple of different orders here, but the best way would be to deal with the sheathing that needs to be replaced before proceeding with the house wrap, because naturally I can use the same house wrap over both areas. I just need to have this done before the weather turns, and I need to turn on the heat. But except for that exception, I would like to get as much of the sheathing repaired before proceeding with the wrap and then putting in the window. So next step, I believe what I want to go for is to replace the sheathing that needs to be replaced on both sides here. Now, of course, I'm putting a door in here. That door there is going to be replaced by a window. So this could be a time in which I take that door out, because there will be some issues with the sheathing around that particular area, and I can resheathe that opening for that window at that time. That's something I'm going to have to decide. But anyway, first I'll start on this side, and I'll probably move over onto that side to get all the sheathing completed, then put all the house wrap up, then put the door in, then put the window in. Okay, so it's a long way to go here. Thanks.